everybody. This is Philip Martin, and welcome to OnFilm on Video. I'm here with Audi, who wanted to come up, and is going to come up for a little while. She may get down after a while. She can't get out because the door's closed. And we closed the door because Audi's been a little bit barky this morning, and there's construction going on, and we don't want her to be barking at all the construction guys while I'm up here stuck doing this. Anyway, this is Oscar weekend, and we went over the Oscars last week because, well, it's something to do. And hey, my arm is feeling better, thank you. It's still not quite all the way there, but it's much better. So I'll be moving it around more than I have the past 8 weeks. And this is like almost. I think this marks a year that we've been doing this. I didn't really check, but I really do believe we've been doing this video for a year now. So, okay, a couple of milestones, arms better, doing it for a year, Oscars this weekend. And I understand that there's not a whole lot of excitement about the Oscars this year. And I get it, though I don't get it. I mean, there's a fellow film critic of mine went on Facebook and said he just couldn't stand any of these films, and that they were all such downers. And I'm like going, what? I really think it's a good list of films. And as I remarked last week, I've been remarking all along that we lack these big, sort of award-seeking kind of Hollywood productions. I mean, we have a couple of those, the Judas and the Black Messiah and Trial of Chicago 7. It's really sort of interesting that those are the kind of traditional Oscar films, I think, that are in this. Nomadland is the favorite, and I believe Nomadland's going to win. I believe Nomadland should win, though I think Minari's just as good a movie. And, I mean, both of those are on a tier above the rest. And right below them, I'd put The Father and Mank, and then another tier below that, I'd have all the rest of them. But I honestly do think that they're all really good films, or at least, films I would recommend to different audiences for different things. So, I mean, I don't have any problem with the Oscars. I'm really probably not going to pay that much of attention to them because I don't pay attention to award shows anyway, and I have paid attention to the Oscars in the past just as sort of a professional obligation. I don't know that that really exists anymore. I mean, it's sort of, you can see the Oscars if you want. You can see them the next day on YouTube and pick up the bits and pieces that you wanted to pick up, see what people were wearing and how people reacted. And that's fine. There's a lot of ways to spend your discretionary time. The Oscars doesn't necessarily have to be one of them. But, I started out writing an Oscar piece for Sunday, and it sort of got, I've sort of started writing about how the movies kind of let us down this past year in the pandemic. I'm not sure I really believe that. I really think that we had some really good movies come out. It's just what we had pushed. The schedules were pushed on a lot of projects that a lot of people were really looking forward to. The Wes Anderson movie, the James Bond movie, Scarlett Johansson as whoever she is, Black Widow, I know. So the movies didn't quite have the it factor, the wow that they had, but Nomadland's really good. I mean, and the Minari's really good, and they're probably two of the best films of the past 10 years, I would say, without looking at my little book of what's better than what, which it's really interesting. But like I said, one of my friends on Facebook went online and kind of dissed it, and I was like, well, I mean, each your own. I mean, if you think this is a bad slate, you think this is a bad slate. I'm going to steal something because Rod Lurie, the director, is a Facebook friend of mine. The Outpost was really good. It was the best war movie of last year, and I think it sort of suffered because of the pandemic, because I think that's one of those movies that would have benefited a lot from being seen in a theater. And I think it did all right. I mean, I think they're going to let him make another movie, but it's sort of like nobody has been talking about The Outpost in the award season and stuff like that. I don't quite know why, because it seems to me to be the equal of a lot of films that have gotten a lot of attention over the years. All I know is that basically it's binary for me. It's either a good movie or a bad movie. The Outpost is a good movie. Anyway, I'm going to borrow, and Rod, if you're out there watching this, and I'm giving you credit, it's your Facebook post, okay? And you're talking about a few thoughts about the Oscars. And Rod's one of those people that predicts Oscars and is really good at it and pays attention to it. And I'm not, so this is one of the reasons I'm just piggybacking on him. His first thought is, all indications are pointing one way for this year's Best Picture Award. Nomadland. Everybody knows that. Sweeping everything. Generally speaking, Academy Award goes to a film that has a wide array of notable and memorable and multi-nominated performances. That's true. Think Spotlight, Moonlight, Green Card, Crash, and 12 Years a Slave. Gone are the days when there is a direct connect with the Best Picture winner and the directing winner. And that's something I have talked about, that, I don't understand the logic of giving Best Picture and then giving Best Director to somebody else. It's sort of like the best director makes the best picture. I mean, if you make, that's the way I look at it. And I have a discussion in my Sunday column about auteur theory and the real life, which is that movies are very collaborative. And it's drawn through the prism of Mank, which was a film I enjoyed and I liked, but I don't think has a whole lot of popular appeal to it, just because it's one of those movies about movies made for movie makers, I think. And it's about Herman J. Mankiewicz, the screenwriter of Citizen Kane, and it is based basically on a article that Pauline Kael wrote in 1971, which tried to actually make the case that Mankiewicz was the real author of at least the screenplay of Citizen Kane, and that Orson Welles didn't write a word of it or whatever. But and it's very interesting, and I get into that on my Sunday thing, and I don't want to steal the thunder of my Sunday column from this. Not that my Sunday column is that interesting, but it's, I think you should read it. So anyway, I'm going to steal Rod's stuff here. But he's talking about there used to be kind of a direct connect between Best Picture and Best Director. But as he observes, the directing prize over the past decade or so, the directing prizes tend to become more innovative award. It's like you're giving it to somebody who's doing something new. Of course, like, you don't know what innovation means, but his example is perfect. It's like Francis Ford Coppola would win today for Apocalypse Now over Kramer versus Kramer, Robert Benton, because Robert Benton, even though his movie was the best movie of the year, the best picture, Coppola was doing different stuff with Apocalypse Now, and the directing, sort of popped. And I can see his argument there, and it's like, okay. In fact, this is Lori again, I'm going to say with caution that the 2021 picture will go to a film without the director being nominated. All right, to a film without its director nominated. Okay, which would mean it would not go to Nomadland, which I don't agree with. I think Nomadland is going to win. I do not know that Zoe Chow is going to win Best Director. And in fact, I actually have a sneaking hunch, and it's just a sneaking hunch. It's not based on anything, that Isaac Lee Chung may have a chance to win for Minari as a director. Anyway, but this is Rod, and Rod is more, like I said, he's more authoritative. Trust him more than you would me if you're putting your money down on this stuff. The Trial of Chicago 7 is the act and fiesta that appeals to many of the old-timers in the Academy who remember the portrayed event with deep nostalgia. Judas and the Black Messiah is flush with memorable performances, also ties deeply to the more liberal bents in the organization. Sound of Metal has 2 acting nominations. It easily could have had 3. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah. It could have had three. I'm not quite sure about that, but and I'm not going to say who I think shouldn't have been nominated because I think it's a fine film. Everybody's good. Okay. Rod's second observation: the sound Oscar can no longer predicted as it used to be now that the editing and mixing awards have been conflated. In the past, these were given out based on technical accomplishment. See, I don't know this stuff. I really don't. The majority of the time, the awards would go to war films or musicals. Sound winners in the past need not have been especially creative, just precise and fluid, and often, let's face it, loud. From now on, members will be assessing the artistry of the overall sound design and how it enhances the meaning and themes of the film. Now, Rod puts artistry in quotes, and I kind of get what he's saying, is that it's probably just as difficult and just as artistic to do it conventionally as it is to do these extreme things. This year, I can't imagine The Sound of Metal not winning. That's true. I can't either. There's a brazen and bold creativity in immersing the audience in the experience of hearing loss. Yeah, which is what it does. Okay. It's one of the most original uses of sound design I've ever witnessed in the film for. So he's endorsing the idea of Sound of Metal winning. And I think Sound of Metal is going to win, and I think that he's absolutely right. And I wonder about that, though, because sometimes I wonder about acting performances, because I sometimes think it is harder to give a subtle performance as an ordinary conventional person, as somebody you would see, rather than to play, a nymphomatic drug addict, or the sort of acting awards often go to the same sort of loud performances, and I'm not sure that loud performances are necessarily any better or any harder to pull off than the quieter ones, and that's so. Stealing more from Rod, all the cinematography nominees are brilliant, and I'll say this: if your cinematography isn't brilliant, there's something wrong, because there's so many good cinematographers out there. There's so many people who have eyes. It's almost like if you've got a bad acting performance in there, why? There's so many good actors. There's so many people who can do this stuff. I mean, I really do think it's any bad acting job is pretty much the fault of the director anymore. You need to get someone else in there, or whatever. I mean, anyway. Too often the award is decided on what is most beautiful. Yes, and most beautiful is also in quotes. I'm gratified, though, that in recent years the dazzling adventurism of films like The Revenant and Roma have been awarded. Some of the best camera work, the most dazzling and even dangerous, have belonged to documentaries. Yes, Free Solo, he mentions that. The photography in Free Solo should have been heralded. Similarly, what we see in this year's nominated doc, My Octopus Teacher, doesn't like anything that's ever been put on screen, especially since most of it was one dude's exploring the ocean on his own. Okay. Good case to expand that area outside narrative films. Number 4, going down Rod Lury's points. This is an interesting and little-known twist of song nominees this year. In this Academy screening room, the songs are isolated from the rest of the movie and that they are in. That means that this year, as the members check out the various tunes, 4 of them will be running over mostly credits. This means that Husavik from Eurovision Sound Vision, Story of Fire Saga, which actually I liked Eurovision, is the only song we actually see being performed. One has to think this gives it a bit of boost. That's interesting. Yeah, I see. This is why I wanted to read this post, because it's giving you insight into stuff that I wouldn't have. It is little known. I did not know that. I figured I didn't even realize they had like an Academy screening room where the songs are isolated from the. Jeez. And speaking of best song, I know I said wouldn't say how I'm voting, but come on, I'll risk it all and proclaim I want to see the greatest of all time, Diane Warren, get a prize and should have won 2 3 times 4. And Low C Scene is a beautiful piece of work that Nobody Could Die would be. Well, I'm not paying attention to best song this year, so I don't. It's a gross insult, number 6. Gross insult to say Chadwick Boseman winning the Best Actor would be purely sentimental. Yes, that's true. Honestly, this is not how the Academy has ever worked. There have been plenty of posthumous acting nominations, and only 2 have ever won. James Dean lost twice. Spencer Tracy lost. What Chadwick did in Ma Rainey was rich and textured, both loud and quiet. August Wilson wrote plays for friggin' actors, and Boseman brought the full force of Wilson's words and meanings center stage, or rather center screen. There may be an upset brewing. How great was Anthony Hopkins? But I think Chadwick would well have won this had he been with us. Yeah, I think so. But again, I'll go back to my point, which my point was that, I still think Lakeith Stanfield in Judas and the Black Messiah, his performance was just as good as anybody's, and it should have been nominated, and if it had won, I would have been happy about that. I am not going to be unhappy about Chadwick Boseman winning, because I think that Rod's absolutely right. But also, and I think he would agree with me on this, it's not a damn competition, really. It's not like sports, and I think that it's just really hard for those of us who pay attention to these things to say anything other than I like this performance better than that performance. I'm not sure exactly why I'm qualified to say anything is better. But anyway, they're going to have horrific ratings. This is just the nature of the beast this year. But I'm very eager to watch it for one reason above any other. Steven Soderbergh is directing. There's nothing that this dude has ever done that is uninteresting. That is true. He does interesting stuff. Most of the time he succeeds, and when he fails, at least he fails in ways nobody else has. Well, okay, yeah, that's fair. That's a good reason to watch these Oscars. And Soderbergh has promised it's going to be very cinematic. Am I boring you? I'm boring you. And this is his last point, number 8. And this is just such a good post. I mean, this is one of the things I really like about Facebook, is like it gives me content. No, really, seriously, this is a really good post by a really, somebody who's in the mix, and I really appreciate it. Okay, one more revelation. I am behind Thomas Vinterberg for another round this year for both directing and international film. Let me say straight up that the film itself is brilliant and explores a never before explored human condition. There's something else here, as was the case with me when I was directing The Outpost. Thomas lost his child while making the film. With great sadness, I know the dungeon he was in while making the film. I know how difficult it was for him to focus. I know how he depended on the army of artists around him. I know how the film kept him sane. That he was able to create such a masterful work while concurrently suffering as he did earns him all my respect and, in a way, love. That being said, there isn't a single nominee that doesn't deserve the award if he or she won. Bravo. I certainly applaud that. I certainly think that he's right. I mean, Vinterberg's... and I did not know that about... I looked it up after I read this post about... I looked up an interview with Vinterberg that the LA Times had done, and yeah, it's... So, there you have it. That's the Oscars rundown by Rod Lurie. And I don't intend to make a habit of this. Usually I'm just going to go my own freeform sort of self, but that was good. And if... like I said, this is the wonderful thing about social media, is that you can actually have someone put something like this up here. It's not all, it's garbage. This is a good thing, and this was a good thing to have, and it's a good thing. And it gave me, and I was going to go ahead and talk about, about Mankiewicz and about the war between the auteur and the studio, and the way critics got involved, and all this stuff, which I do in my Sunday column, which was, in the irony of it, someone like Fincher, who's actually picking up the cause of the lowly rider in Mank, which you should see it. I talked to so many people who haven't seen these movies. They're all out there on streaming. Just about I think everything is now streaming. So, all you've got to do is fire up the TV and maybe pay for something. I don't know. I mean, but you'd be paying for a movie ticket, so why not? Anyway, that's it for this week. We're contemplating, we are not saying we're doing it, but we're contemplating making some changes in this. And we will let you know if and when we make those changes. But as for now, that's it. Check back next week.